Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to another Saturday talk with Deb and myself. Let's just get the old business out the way. Welcome to our Saturday Night Live. You can catch us here on Facebook and YouTube. And remember, you can always support me by sending stars to help earn money to make more content, to get better content. And also, for those who cannot afford my service, you can always contact me on Linktree. That will be later in the discussion for tonight. And tonight, we're just going to continue to talk about health and wellness, mental health. What can I say? There's so much to talk about these days, but let me bring my buddy on for tonight so that we can get started.
Good
Hello,
evening.
hello, hello.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well also. Excited
Well,
to be
that's
here.
I know it's so much going on, and I just wanted to make sure that we continue to come on, continue to talk about hard topics, see who's going to come on tonight and who will participate. Um, like I said, we're just coming on so that we can. Bring awareness to the community and give them a platform where people can speak up, speak out, do whatever they need to do so that we can help people decompress in these still we call it unprecedented times.
Absolutely. I I totally agree. Mental health is very, very um important. We're in a critical state, I feel, in our country, in our society. And people need to know there are so many different outlets. We're all unique individuals. We're all different. What may work for you may not work for me, and vice versa. So I think being able to give individuals tools to put in their tool chest are extremely important right now. Absolutely.
Well, I agree with that. I was just thinking that, you know, clearly we are seeing a lot in our communities. And I think tonight would be a good time to talk about what's going on in our communities, what's different. Um, Nowadays, we have to have a mindset of awareness, and that is on so many different levels. So I always ask you this every Saturday. What is it that you're seeing different in your communities? What have you been doing different? And let's just take it from there. We'll take it slow because we have a whole hour to talk about these issues.
Well, I've heard a lot this in the food stamp world, and some of that pandemic money that was put there and pandemic assistance stimulus stuff is being removed from the federal government.
Yeah.
This week, I encountered a lot of individuals who are struggling. How are they really going to make it, especially with, the food costs steady increasing, and now they're going to be taking some of those benefits. I think it's important for us to meet individuals literally where they are, allow them to share. This week I sat down and did some budgeting and some menu prep classes with individuals to help them become more creative when they go to the grocery store. Don't go to the grocery store when you're hungry. And, we talked about all of that stuff to try to remove so much impulse purchasing out of it, and emotional sweets and sugars. People are really confused. And,
Yeah.
I had several people that were discussing, they felt like we're getting ready to have a war. And what does that mean? Are we protected? The entire safety component was voiced. I still, when we started our blessing box in Savannah, on the weekend, we were filling it 3 times a day on that Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Now we're having to fill that same box 5 times a day.
Yep.
I've met over the past 3 or 4 weeks individuals who are in the senior population who are right on that cuff where they don't qualify for any type of food stamps.
Yeah.
So I think no one wants to receive anything that we're saying or anyone else is saying if they're hungry.
Well,
We've got
that's
to
true.
be available to meet their basic needs.
And that's true. And we can take it scriptural. For the believers, what did Jesus do? He fed people to get them to hear. There's a lot of bad energy going around. I did actually have an experience last week going to 3 different food banks. Can I
Mhm.
tell you, the types of foods that are in different communities are very different. In the poor
Absolutely.
communities, there's a lot of fillers. In the more affluent communities, they're eating raw, they're eating green, they're eating healthier. That's a problem. And how is it that
Go on. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just wondering, how is it that, um, what can I say? All areas aren't getting the same foods, you
Well,
know?
I think that I can say it depends on who their supplier is. There are a lot of different major food distribution centers that larger food banks that communities can purchase food from, or set up if they're a 501(c)(3) to receive food donations. I know in our community, um, the food bank that a lot of people are using, USDA has had a major problem um, getting a lot of USDA food into our community. Um, some of it has to do with geographic, like for us, we purchase food through a distribution location in Murfreesboro. Uh, and it has stuff from Pillsbury and other major entities, but you know, every month it varies. I
Mhm.
mean, we may get yogurt and granola and things like that, cheese, may get some meat. We never know from one month to the next month what's going to be in that purchase. Um,
Yeah.
and I was talking to someone here today. Um, if we're not able to access, I don't think people think about it, but we're working off of last year's crops. And I know in Tennessee, we went through a horrible drought here. So now we're really showing the food shortage And in the grocery store, it's not showing as a shortage because there wasn't plenteous. We're showing that markup in prices of what's available. You know, many of the seniors that um, I deal with have said they can't afford eggs, they can't afford milk. You know, as far as getting fresh produce, all of those prices have skyrocketed. They can't afford to eat raw or healthy due to food cost. And that is a problem.
Yeah, I heard that too, but I am here and one of the few that can say you can eat healthy. There's a way to do it, but people don't have the tools. So that's something that I help with. You can eat, let's just say $50 a week if you learn how to prepare the foods. And I think it's because a lot of us are used to eating meat. Um,
Yeah.
and they don't really know the other foods that is considered. Well, first of all, meat is protein. So what are the other foods you can eat that is protein, but you're not paying $65, $75 for a steak? It may not be a steak, but if you learn how to eat correctly, you can make it taste like a steak. So I'm not a beef eater, but I do and can say we have to change our mindsets. We have to change the way we're thinking. Like I said, clearly we are in a new time, and it's teaching us, whether people want to admit it or not, is teaching us how to get back to basics, you see. And that's what we need to do, get back to basics, because we're all over the place. Right is wrong, wrong is right. And people can't even live for fear. They're walking in fear, and nobody can help them reduce the fear, which is why I like our platform to keep going, because eventually we're going to have to talk about it in detail.
I agree. Um, I have a group of young women who actually told me they don't know how to cook dry beans. And I'm like, you don't know how to cook dry beans? I said,
Yeah,
what do you not know to do? They said, well, I was never taught to do that. I said, do you understand about the soaking process and making sure that, you know, you're rinsing them and, you know, you can use a crock pot or a pressure cooker or just cook them with a pot on the stove and cook. They, Joel, we have a whole generation that is McDonald's and microwave.
yeah. And how did they make it through the last few years, 2 years, now the third year, without knowing how to cook and even touching or going to these fast food places, and you're clearly not getting full. You're at home more than 8 hours,
Mhm,
um, not knowing how to cook, not knowing, picking up from recipes from your mother, your grandmother.
mhm.
Those are the things that I think these platforms can be used for, because some of these people need direction. And just like I said, I think on another platform, you guys know I'm on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays live on these platforms. And we talked about, you know, when we were growing up, people on the block we called auntie, uncle. We go to their houses. They were cooking. My mom was always one of those mothers. My friends could come and talk to my mom, get advice. These This generation today, they're not getting that. And I think
Mhm.
that's one of the biggest problems that we have, um, um, as a society now with mental health. People aren't able to talk it out. They're not able to talk things through to people that they think they can trust, people that live on their blocks. Nowadays, you don't even know who your neighbors are. So
Absolutely.
these are the things that's causing an increase in mental disorders. And I think if people realize that these platforms need to come together, talk about things, and it's okay. I mean, we don't have to talk about personal issues. We can do that behind the scenes with the type of services I even carry. I know you carry a certain type of support. And that's when you do the one on one for um, confidentiality. But to even just start talking about some of the issues that's going on in the community and how we can help, you know, it may be something you may be able to take somebody's advice, take a piece of the advice, use it with your wit, but these are the things that all they all go hand in hand. And that's what I'm trying to do. I know you're very active in your community, but yeah, people don't know how to cook. Beans and rice is protein.
Absolutely.
You know, there's a lot of noodles, and but I will say this: noodles, sugar, when you are trying to decompress, especially nowadays, you're dealing with a lot of energy. It's probably, excuse me, smart to alleviate the sugars, the allergens, like the foods that people are allergic to, because that contributes to mental disorders as well.
Mhm. Diet is
Um,
so important, and I agree with you. We were talking this week about home economics and how, some of this stuff our moms taught us, but we learned stuff in school.
mhm.
And, that whole program was removed. I mean, and they talked about healthy eating and exercise. And I've done some investigating here. One of the things our health department has for its needs assessment and its community goals for the next 3 years is talking about the increase of obesity. People are not getting, outside walking, they're not exercising, their diets are reflecting this, they're, eating things that aren't healthy. Even when we talk about the obesity factor in our meetings, we've also been talking about the increase of diabetes on both sides, type
Yeah,
1 and 2. So it's like, wow, we really have to do more education. We have UT Extension. We're getting geared up for the farmers market here, where people will, be able to go purchase homegrown fruits and vegetables. Now they're allowed to use their SNAP benefits, which is great. But
yeah,
again, we were talking about the accessibility. Not everyone has transportation,
right.
during 10 to 12 or 10 to 1, whatever the hours are. So then we're missing a group of people who probably need this, but they don't have the access. They don't have the ability. The community that I live in has no public transportation. So we have no bus, we have no taxi cab. no Uber, no Lyft, all of those things that we hear about. So it really creates barriers for people
Yeah,
that want to do those things.
yeah, that's a problem. That's a huge problem. And I'm not so certain, how is it that now some of these counties see the growth, population growth, and they don't see a need for it? Is it because they don't have the money? Like, what is the reason for not having it? Transportation in 2023, where now we are on the other side of a pandemic, that who's in these positions that can't see that there's a need for public transportation?
I can't answer that. I mean, but it's a real barrier to services. Now, they do have a transportation service that is in another county, but they have to schedule it 3 days in advance. They will take them to Walmart or the grocery store, any grocery store, I guess, but they're only allowed to have 2 bags. Um, and they're charged a very minimal fee. One of the things that we are looking at, we've had the blessing box up for a year this month. Um, we're looking at expanding it in our counties to 2 smaller communities that both have a community center. And we want to put the blessing box in those communities. Neither community have a grocery store. One community has one Mexican restaurant. It's a little over 300 people, no store, a gas station that has, snacks, one of those convenient type stores. Um, then the other community is over 300 people, a community center, no grocery store, no convenience store, gas station. So if we can secure the funding, we're going to expand to both of those communities with the blessing box. And then we are wanting to add monthly food boxes that would have fresh produce and things like that. And it would
Nice.
be for particularly the seniors, um, and individuals that we know are homebound due to health conditions, be it cancer, things like that. Um, we are working on putting recipes together that we can include in those boxes so that um, gives them some ideas. Both of those communities have limited internet. One basically is very, very poor. The other one, as far as very poor internet service, no fiber optics out there at all. The other one is just breaking ground into that, but I've been told that the internet service is not the greatest there. But we've got to be able to um, do those things, to get that out into communities, into rural areas. But we not only need it in rural areas, I think all communities need to do that.
Yeah, that's a good thing. I think so too. What saddens me is that there's no sense of urgency, you see,
Yeah.
and to always have a regulation going on. Who thinks like that? And I mean, 2 bags, come on, is that realistic? When do you know that you can get back to the store? What if you don't have the money at that time to go to the grocery store and get what you need when they're only in a community a certain day, a certain time? These are the things that I don't
Again,
know.
it's barriers. It's barriers. And we've got to learn how to help individuals overcome those obstacles
Yeah.
and work around. That's where we have to educate and help individuals be strategic. You know, you need to go to the store, you need to plan menus and not be impulsive. Get the things that you know that you're going to need in those 2 bags so that you have enough meal. You know, we've got to get people into meal prepping.
Yeah.
Um, and doing some portion control, look
Yeah.
at the sizing, things like that. But again, that's not stuff a lot of people are educated in.
Right. Well, again, I'm going to keep saying it over and over until we get somebody to come on and participate. Um, what I was going to say is on Tuesdays and Thursdays, Tuesday on Instagram, Thursdays on Facebook, we do a live talking about healthy choices, talk about health and wellness. These are that's a time when people can come on, ask the questions, learn how to do different things to help them and to help themselves, because that will also reduce anxiety. There's so many different things that we can do. So maybe that's what we need to do. Maybe next week come up
Mhm.
with a way and have solutions to what people can do to like you say in your community, what can they do, what are the types of foods they can buy when they go to the store, and give them a little bit of help. Some people say they know, but when they really have to do it, then the mind goes all over the place, or oh, I forgot, or oh, this. So yeah, we got to start bringing awareness and get people used to thinking like that. Because what if there's another catastrophe? What do you think? Who has survival skills? Who knows how to uh, get their uh, berries and know the leaves and all the natural terrain out here? How could they do they know how to survive? Do they know what berries are healthy, what berries are not healthy? Do they know how to fish? These are the things that I think people are taking for granted, because who's to say? We may have to not just do survival skills as we know it now, but for real survival skills.
Oh, you're absolutely right. I mean, absolutely. Um, Gardening. We are exploring looking at doing a community garden. And
That's good.
this would be our first year doing that. And we are, setting um, some guidelines. We have some individuals, homesteading is getting a real popular here. And people that are homesteading are going to help teach us a gardening class so that individuals will know, we're looking at doing the raised gardens, uh,
Nice.
and, putting stuff in there so that people can learn about some of the different herbs and use those and eliminate so much salt and sodium in their diet. Instead of regular salt, why don't we try sea salt, or a different, an alternative to some of the sodium? So it's education, and it's
Yeah.
such a process. I mean, it by the time you're finished teaching or working with individuals, you're literally almost drained, because we have a whole society that really doesn't know.
Well, that's true. And that's the thing. Let's bring on another um, person who's on now and see. uh, what they're noticing in their community, and what are the things that they can do to bring awareness, how to help people, who's getting involved in their community, who's not getting involved in their community, and how we can come together. Let's see what other point of views. This is Alicia. Hi, Alicia. How are you?
Hi, I'm good, and you?
I'm good. Have you been listening all this time? Um, have you been hearing what we've been talking about, where you can give us your point of view and what you think about the lack of food, all the different stuff that's going on in the communities today?
Um, I honestly don't even know because it's something that I feel like I'm struggling with a little bit, you know? So I feel like if we're having these discussions with individuals like yourselves, speaking about it, then the younger crowd could, be able to assist in that.
Yeah, it's the younger crowd that's lacking,
Yes.
and there's some adults that are lacking. Um, but I know that you have a responsibility. What do you do when you go grocery shopping? How, do you plan in advance? Um, do you cook a certain thing? Are you health conscious when you go to the stores? What are the different things that you do when you go grocery shopping?
I feel like before I would just plan all my meals ahead, thinking that was what I wanted to eat, going off of just my mind. And so I used to plan out like that until I just started noticing that, oh my gosh, the fresh produce is going bad a lot quicker. And so now I pretty much shop per recipe or whatever meal that I'm making, honestly.
Okay.
That works for me. I'm not
And
saying that it's gonna work with everybody, but it definitely works for me.
okay, so when you go to the stores more, well, because you obviously have transportation, so do you cook meals that last for 2 days, or do you get enough that for 2 days and make it last for 4 days? How do
I
you?
so I usually typically our meals last because I do kind of cook big for me and my son, but it's because it's our favorite thing. So I can make it stretch to 4 days.
Okay, okay. Um, and what else was that, Deb, you were mentioning? And we thought about. We mentioned that we needed to bring awareness and start educating. What was one?
Alicia, I have a question. Does your son
Hmm.
eat vegetables? Does he like vegetables?
Yes, he does. He does.
That's great because I'm hearing so many young people, so many parents are like, my kids don't eat vegetables.
Oh no.
Okay. And
Yeah.
I'm like, they don't. When was it a choice? I
Right.
came up in the generation that whatever was put on my plate, I was expected to eat it or else.
Right.
There
Right.
was a consequence. But we do have parents out there now that give their children the choice about what they're going to eat. And I'm talking about these kids are like 5 and 6 years old, and oh, they don't like that. Well, have they tried it? Oh no, they don't like green beans. They don't like green.
Like, and if they don't, then you're not making it right.
Yeah, because I with my son when he was small,
Hmm.
if I were eating it in front of him, he would want to taste it.
That's
And
my
my
son. That's
yeah,
my son.
And that's how I got him used to eating vegetables. So sometimes it's not that the kids don't like it, it's the parent that
Yeah,
That
doesn't like it. And they're
absolutely.
the ones
I
that's,
agree. I
yeah,
agree. Your kids
I
are your
believe that's it
children.
too. I agree too, because
Yeah,
I'm like,
children.
some of these children haven't even tried the vegetable.
Right.
right. And if they start getting used to it, and again, like I said, the vegetables and fruits, that's our medicine.
Yep.
And that's what's going to reduce anxiety. That's what's going to reduce mental disorders. Stress will kill you. And
Mhm.
if you are not eating healthy, listen, it's stressful enough going through the storm. But
Mhm.
can you imagine if you don't eat healthy, what that must feel like for some people? They're
Mhm.
probably torturing themselves and don't even know
Absolutely.
it.
Absolutely.
You're right.
Absolutely. I think we've gotten conditioned as a society in thinking that we have to have meat in our diet
Right.
to be
Mhm.
healthy, and that's so untrue.
Absolutely. Because
Mhm.
um, if we go back to our heritage, we're people that constantly move and move and move, and meat was not a big source in our diets for years, centuries. And then the meat came. Of course, we know there's some people that would hunt and knew how to eat rabbit and
Ooh,
possum. And I'm not a game eater. I don't like
I
that
don't
kind
like.
of, yeah, I'm a fruits and vegetable person. But a lot of people, like Deb said, they don't know how to garden. They don't know the first thing to gardening. And I'm almost a believer that eventually we're going to have to get back to gardening. The soil is not good. People don't know how to cultivate their own soil. That's why I think it's important to learn as much as you can during these times,
Mhm.
because we're going to need to know how to do these things.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. Goat butt 29. Hello there. We're talking about how to help a changing world. If you're interested, feel free to join us. Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's there's just so much that needs to be done. And I think that this is the time to talk about what it was like in our communities. But also, Deb, you were mentioning a few other things. Um, I'm trying to keep talking, but we keep getting, you are absolutely right, ma'am. What are we right about, sir?
Sorry for my picture.
Well,
Just
that's
one
okay.
moment.
But we're talking about how to help a changing world. Do you by chance know how to cook? Do you shop daily? Do you shop weekly? What is it that you do, and how can you help bring awareness or suggest to other people something that can help them? Or like I say, we have so many issues in the world today. What are some of the solutions that can sustain us all? Because we are in a time where, like Deb said earlier, people have no clue. They don't know what to do. They're suffering, they're scared.
Mhm.
Um, it's so much. And that's why I keep saying it's good to talk about it. It's good to talk about, what's bothering you. it may be a perception. It may
Right.
be just fear. So what are the things? What other things? Any stressors?
Well, Joel, when you think about if you don't have enough money, you can't purchase the right food,
Hmm.
then here comes health conditions that turns into a stressor. You go to your physician, he may tell you you need to change your diet. If
Hmm.
you don't have the tools or the know-how or the support, you know, if you have insurance, they may not pay for you to go talk to the nutrition person that he may want to refer you to. Um, so then what do you do in your community? Many times our local health departments have resources that can help, but
Yeah.
maybe we can post some menus up there um, next week to have substitutions uh, for
Like,
meat products.
mhm.
There's a lot of people that really don't understand beans is a great form of protein. That's what meat is, protein. Okay.
Protein, absolutely. You know. Okay, Goat Butt 29. I'm wondering if you are sincere. A cheeseburger is $3, but the salad is 9. Well, that's the reason why people need to figure out. You can go to the grocery store and buy salads that's $9, and you can eat off of that for 2 or 3 days.
Hmm.
Um, know the type of lettuce to get. Um, know that you can. Okay, and he's agreeing with you, Deb. Sorry,
All right.
he's agreeing with Deb. Thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
but yeah, but you need to know what foods to buy: yellow, green, red, orange peppers, cucumbers, lettuce. You can mix iceberg lettuce. I personally don't do iceberg unless I mix it. And then you can put, if you have to have meat, you can put uh, chicken, grilled chicken on top, but you don't need a lot of meat, you see. And then also, it's mind over matter, because when you start feeding yourself, there is a thing called satiety, and you can get full. After 15 minutes. So if you
Mhm.
slow down to eat your food and chew it up, you will get full. So that's kind of that's one way. But yeah, beans and rice is protein.
Absolutely. Well, I think just maybe breaking it down for people to really understand. Maybe they don't know, or maybe they have forgotten, and we can do a refresher course, or also talk about coming up with a survival kit in the event of an emergency. How many people have a flashlight outside of the one that is on our cell phone?
Exactly. I'm telling you, people need to get it together. Survival kit and all of that. There, got to get back to basics. Got to get back to using your mind. Got to get back to critical thinking. So Goat is on YouTube saying they initially make it harder to obtain the good fresh stuff. Well, yes, you kind of missed us earlier when we were talking about learning how to garden. I mean, we can't keep blaming and pointing our fingers to other people what they're not doing when there are certain things we can do for ourselves. Depending on how you were raised. I know I was raised with a father who taught us many of things. Why? Because we didn't have any brothers and he wanted us to be self-sufficient. So yeah,
Absolutely.
you've got to learn these things. the amount of plastic our government says we can eat each year? Do you realize they have found plastic in bloodstreams? Do you realize they have found plastic in our food? Which
Yeah.
is why you have to know what you're eating, which is why most people are eating green. Do you know that cabbage is not real cabbage? Do you know that our cabbage is plastic? Oh, yes, you've come to the right page today, baby, because I
Oh
do
yeah.
know these things. Yes, we do know.
It's amazing because you can even feel the cabbage, for instance, the texture is totally different. It's very, to me, cabbage here is very waxy feeling, and it the leaves are heavy. There, the whole weight of it is different. And I'm thinking, but if you hadn't remembered what cabbage was like 30 years ago or 20 years ago, you wouldn't be able to identify the difference just in the texture of some of the produce and stuff. You know,
Yeah.
everything's got that coated feeling on top of it.
Right. And how many people know how to clean the fruits and the vegetables, especially with cabbage? Like Alicia was saying earlier, you know, the food doesn't last long. But cabbage, if you are, I'm a cabbage eater. And one day I forgot I had cabbage on the right side of my refrigerator in the drawer. That cabbage didn't go bad for, I know, 2 weeks. So yeah, that's something. That's something too. Thank you, goat butt. Make
Yeah,
sure you like, comment, subscribe, share, share, share. We appreciate you.
absolutely.
Yes. I shiver when I see people open a pop can without wiping the top off first after seeing rats in the warehouse videos. Well, I wasn't there, but yeah, you're right. You do have to wipe off your cans. We've been doing that, Deb. I
Uh-huh.
know your mother has told you,
Yes,
growing up back in the day. Alicia, how about you?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, some things, honey, we just know because we
It's
had
the time
parents.
this way.
Yeah, we had parents that taught us these things. So again, like Deb was saying, a lot of these people did not get that kind of upbringing, that kind of support, how to survive, the small things. It's not the big things, it's the small things
that's
that
right.
you need during this time. Now that I know for certain.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And in sharing it with my children and my grandchildren, they get it now. We've got to make sure that we are educating the next generation.
You
I've been
said it.
talking to my granddaughters about, look, yeah, my oldest granddaughter has MS. She was diagnosed 2 years ago. So we have to really, she's eating healthy, she's eating clean, things of that
Okay.
nature to help
Mm-hmm.
um, reduce some of the flare ups. And,
Yes.
diet is important. And we're getting a lot of clean and toxins in our body. We don't realize it's very important for us to detox. It's a necessity now
Mm-hmm.
because there's so much in the air aside from what we're consuming and some of the foods that we're eating.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
And that is true. The herbicides, the pesticides,
Mhm.
that's that science side in me. So that's what I help people with on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Reiterating once again, people have to learn how to eat healthy, as natural as possible. Those are the things that we do on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I did put down there, if you need help, go to my link tree. I also put on there about NAMI, National Alliance on Mental Illness, Suicide Prevention. Contact 988 or contact me if there's non-emergencies. Not to cut you off, Deb, but I just wanted to put that into the atmosphere in case somebody needed some help.
Absolutely. That's fine. I think today has been very um, informative because we need to get people to start planning now. It, if you're going to start a garden, it'll be too late after a while.
Right.
So start looking at your seeds, do some research, reach out, learn about different herbs and things that you can reduce some of this sodium and stuff in your diet, other ways to season stuff to still give it that meat flavor you may, craving for. It's about taking time to dig deeper and find solutions.
That's true. Well, my condolences to Goat Butt, who said that they lost their son, I believe, in 2012. My condolences. And he wants to know what is it uh, that we do. Well, Alicia, start with yourself, and then Deb, and then I'll tell you what it is that I do since you're on my platform. Go ahead, Alicia. Uh-oh. I don't know if we lost her. Well, Deb, what is it that you do?
I'm a director of a prevention coalition in the state of Tennessee. I also am a licensed alcohol and substance abuse counselor.
Yes. And we put her information at the bottom, Voices of Savannah on Facebook and Linktree. If you need some assistance, where are you from, Goat Butt? Okay. Not sure if we lost everybody. Are you still there, Deb?
Yes, I
Oh,
am. Jewel, he
oh.
has a question. He wants to know what is a healthy, he says he loves salt, and he wants to know what is a healthy substitute for salt.
Well, first off, you need to know your body. Um, Iodine is definitely not in our soil right now. So you can do sea salt. There's so many different options. You can do sea salt. You can do kosher salt. You can do Mediterranean salt. What exactly is going on with you? And how is it that, um, um, let's see, what else? Okay, well, I'm glad that you're here too. Feel free to come back every Saturday. He's from Kentucky. Is it
Okay.
he or she? What is your name? It's okay to, I'm glad you're talking to us. We seem to have lost Alicia, um, but anywho, Alicia is psychology, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So she's psychology and also has a child with special needs. And so she's very um, good at what she does. And I'm very observant. Michael, okay, Michael. Well, we're here every Saturday. And if you'd like I mentioned, you can go to my link tree. Make sure you follow us, subscribe, and share so that you know when we come on again, and all the other things that we're doing to bring awareness. I myself am cosmetology, nursing, and science. I work with people naturally, help those who fail to thrive, and I also help cancer survivors. Okay, that's what we do over here. So, this platform on Saturdays is to get people involved in talking about their issues, community issues, health and wellness, psychology, psych issues, mental disorder issues, anything that's going to help people to thrive, because we are in a time where people need to talk. Um, we are in a time where people need to come together, change their mindset, and get back to basics, which is the reason why I believe we are having a huge uh, crisis with mental wellness, health, health and wellness, mental disorders, mental awareness. That is part of the problem in society. That's my 2 cents. Deb, what do you
I
say?
agree. I agree. We have to do more, and we have to be willing to meet people where they are and give them an opportunity to share, but we have to take the time to educate as well. And, something that you said, when we were growing up, we knew who our neighbors were. We knew
Yeah,
where we could go. There are people living right next door to us in many neighborhoods, and we don't even know their name. We knew whose home we could go to get a meal or a snack, and it was okay. Um, so things have really changed. Um, I hope that we can go back and get a sense of community um, with that, and getting to know each other, understanding culture. And, we've got to understand culture. And we have a lot of different um, groups of people that live in the United States now. And we've got to understand them, and they need to understand us.
hmm,
But it's sitting down and talking and getting to know them and learn what they like. From having those type conversations, that's how you build quality programs,
that
because
is
they may know how to do something that you don't know how to do. That may be a strength for them because they grew up doing that all of their life. So we've got to take that time and invest some time in doing those things.
that is true. Well, Deb, we are almost up, but this, Michael, this is the last question. I'm gonna let Deb take it. Deb, he's asking, how does this play into criminal justice? You want to take that?
Oh, how does this play into criminal justice? Wow, I could not agree more. Okay. Many people that have gotten caught up in probably criminal justice have, or, you know, have some form of mental illness. We're finding out through a lot of data now that adverse childhood experiences, we actually score that and see how different a series of questions have impacted a person. Um, I have found out in the groups of people that I work with in substance abuse, many of these children were introduced to some of those substances by family members they came in contact with as a child. So then they become addicted. Some of it was stress related, some was lack of food and clothing, Some of them were raised in cars. There's a lot of different variables that happen, but mental health affects, I feel, every facet of life. We all struggle in some areas. So the criminal justice system is now investing a lot of time in making sure that their officers are go through sensitivity training. So if they encounter a situation where anger or aggression, things have escalated, we're now investing resources and money to help them learn how to de-escalate situations and how to talk and not to be so intimidating when dealing with individuals. So, mental health has a great impact, I feel, in the judicial system and in criminal justice.
I agree, Deb. Thank you for that. Well, guys, thanks to our new subby, Goat Butt 29, we have ended our show for tonight. And thank you for coming on. Hopefully, you can find us here next week. Same bat station, same bat channel. Thank you guys for coming on, and good night. Have a blessed evening.
Good
Peace and
night.
blessings. Bye-bye.
Good night. Bye-bye.
Deb, anything you want to say? I
Nope.
forgot.
Good night, everybody. Stay safe and have a great week.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. You have been a trooper. What can I say? It's nice to be able to answer questions, even if it's just one. We're okay with that. So I just like to say good night to you. Remember, you can follow me on Simply Jewel Linktree /Simply Jewel. Please go to Cash App. You can donate so that we can help those who cannot afford my service, but I'm allowed to support them. There's a lot of support that we need this day and age. And just want to say thank you for coming on. So peace and blessings, everyone. Until next time, you have been on Simply Jewel Cosmetics and Health Services on the Facebook page, or Simply Jewel TV on YouTube. Good night, everyone.